Hey, how are you?
We're gonna start in a minute. I just want to make sure everything's ready before we start. Uh, Chris, do you have
Oh,
everything ready?
yeah, we're actually live already.
Oh, we're live already. Okay.
Yeah, I started the streaming as soon as Angelo showed up.
Okay. So thank you for joining us today on Kerberos Roundtable Discussions. Today with me, I have a guest, Angela Walker, who is the vice presidential no, pick, vice presidential pick on the ticket for the Green Party. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I was looking into you. So you ran for sheriff in Milwaukee.
Yes, in 2014, I ran against former Sheriff, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, as an independent socialist. Our campaign pulled 20% of the vote in that election.
And is that the first? And you were involved with a lot of union work?
Yes, I was the legislative director for the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 998 for around 2.5, 3 years. I was a driver with Milwaukee County Transit for 4 years, I want to say. So a lot of that time I was the legislative director for my union.
Okay. I'm just gonna tweet that we're live. Sorry. So, um, so you were. So when was the announcement that? When were you picked to be the VP?
When was I asked or when was I
Mhm.
nominated?
When were you asked and nominated?
I was asked, Howie called me in very late April about being his running mate. And then our formal nomination was July 11th, I want to say,
Um,
during our convention.
and I want to ask you this question. This is a current, political question. Currently, the Democrats just announced their VP nomination.
Mhm.
Another corporate Democrat, very corporatist, very Wall Street is very excited. But I want to ask you now that there are two corporate Democrats on the Democrat ticket. Um, Trump is Trump. Do you think that is will give progressives and independents more of a reason to vote for the Green Party this election?
I certainly hope so. I mean, if people are, at the end of the day, if people are interested in issues
Hmm.
and they're voting along the line of issues, I think that if people are asking for Medicare for all, people are asking for the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana, people are asking to end wars of aggression by the United States around the world and bring those revenues and those personnel home.
Hmm.
If those are the things that people are voting around and those things are important to them, then to be completely honest, we are the only party that is actually offering that. So yes.
And there was a poll a couple months ago that said a majority of Bernie Sanders supporters were unsatisfied and are not going to vote for the Democratic nominee. They have not been repolled, but do you think there's a chance that your party will absorb a lot of those votes?
I think that that's definitely possible because people supported Bernie Sanders for his platform of Medicare for all, for the fact that he was about making ecological solutions for, reversing climate change,
Mm.
that he was against continuing wars around the world, that he was about making sure that people had access to housing and the things that they needed. Those are things that people responded to. That is why he had the support that he had. Those are also basically, that's what the Green Party is about. That's what we put forth. That's what we've always stood for. So
And you personally, you are a trucker and a bus driver,
yes, I drive a dump truck.
so you're a working class citizen.
Very working class. I literally got off of work about an hour ago.
Oh, okay, so you're still working as you're running for president.
Uh-huh. It was almost 12 hours today.
So you actually represent, and you would actually you represent the actual working class of America more so than anyone else at this point. So,
Well, You know, Howie is a former Teamster. He's a retired Teamster. So, I mean, the two of us, when we're talking about putting two workers in the White House, that's not rhetoric. I get up at, you know, my day, my start time tomorrow at my job is 4:30 a.m. So, and
Wow.
we run until we run until we're done. This is what I do every day. And so when we're talking about people standing for the working class, this isn't some, you know, catchy thing we put out there. This is actually our lives.
Right. I want to bring to attention another recent flaw in our system. I'm sure the green. You got on your platform. You want to cut the military budget by 75%.
Yes.
Recently, Bernie Sanders put forth a 10% cut amendment, and that couldn't even get through Congress. 23 senators voted in favor of it. I mean, in favor of it, and one of the ones who voted against it was the VP choice of Joe Biden. Just to make that clear, and 93 Congress people. So to get a 10% budget cut, they still couldn't do it, and they found out that the senators who voted against it were taking over $211,000 from the military-industrial complex. I wonder if there's a connection.
Follow the money. That's our answer to everything. I mean, you're seeing it with what's happening with the postal system and this individual who's been appointed postmaster, even though he has absolutely zero experience doing anything with the post office and has, you know, financial ties to the competitors to the post office. They're not even trying to hide it. So these days, follow the money.
Right. What got you into politics?
I had never intended to run for office. That's just not something I ever saw myself doing. Every time that I have been run or that I've chosen to run, I was drafted. So everything is political. I mean, the choices that, you know, we're making as a country are not in the best interest of the people. And I would argue that they have not been for a very long time. And I believe that people have the right to be the ones that decide how their government works, what it spends its money on, how it takes care of its people, what programs are in place. And also, bigger than that, how we move in the world as global citizens. And we are not doing a very good job of that and have not in a very, very long time. So, you know, when opportunities are presented to advance, you know, certain ideas and certain, you know, certain platforms and things like that, and it falls to me to do it, then I'm a firm believer in you do your duty. Like that.
Right. So, sorry, we're just putting on the thing to see if we got any chat on the YouTube live stream. So, what is your connection? Do you have any connection with the Green Party yourself?
Say that again, please.
Do you yourself have any in connection with the Green Party?
I'm a member of the Green Party of South Carolina.
Okay. But you said, no, not to challenge you, but you said you ran as an independent socialist?
That was in 2014.
Okay. I'm just trying to get everything straight here. Okay.
Yeah, that was in 2014.
So, a majority of people don't even vote in the presidential elections because they feel that whatever is being put forward is not going to represent their interests. I believe the number keeps getting lower every year of the percentage of people who will actually vote in the election. Your ticket is actually, talking about ideas and things that are actually important to America right now. Hopefully that will inspire some people to come out and vote for that ticket because, I think people should vote based on policy, not based on party affiliation, not based on things like that. Because when you vote based on policy, you're voting for who you think aligns with you. See if you agree with that.
I absolutely agree based on, with voting based on policy. I have always tried to align myself with politicians, as far as voting, who I felt represented at least most of what I wanted to have accomplished. Voting Democrat, of course, never yielded that. And so, starting in 2016, I voted third party, and I anticipate that I will be voting third party probably for the rest of my life.
Now, in the political system, there's this, they try to crush third parties. They try to crush outside voices. They don't care if you're a third party, if you're a Democrat, if you're speaking on the outside as an outsider, and you're not speaking as one of the, if you're not in the club, they're going to try to silence you.
Mm-hmm.
And they've continued to do that. Now, I'm not sure if you heard the speech from Nancy Pelosi about the Green New Deal. She called it the Green Dream or whatever.
Yes.
That's what it's come to. We can't, make substantial changes. And with healthcare, she's taken about $400 million from the private healthcare sector. But then says we can't vote on Medicare for all.
I just think that it's very, follow the money. And that will pretty much, when you are beholden to big corporate donors, they're going to, these people are not just offering you this money or these trips or the things that that they give people. They're not giving you that for no reason. They're going to expect a return on their investment. And unfortunately for us, the people, that return on investment usually is not in our best interest.
And your campaign is not taking any corporate money, correct?
No, we do not.
So all your donations come from the people?
Yes, they do. And our average donation is $27.
Let's make clear, I myself am a donor. Anyway, of course. So in your history, you were involved with the Occupy Wall Street movement?
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, we weren't in New York, but as far as where Occupy popped up in different places around the country, we had, Occupy Milwaukee, there was Occupy Wisconsin, and then there was also Occupy the Hood, because unfortunately, the Occupy movement mainstream was very white. And so when we're lifting up the issues of Black, Indigenous, and Brown communities, those issues tend to get drowned out in mainstream movements. So a lot of places had, offshoots that particular, gave particular focus to the issues of marginalized communities, and I was a part of that.
And I'm sure you know about the one who crushed Occupy Wall Street in New York.
Mm-hmm.
My wonderful former mayor. The judge, I'm sure you heard the story. The judge said it was constitutional. He said, "Oh, we gotta wait to see what the ruling means, and then we can start letting people back in if the ruling says they can go back in."
Well, we had, the Wisconsin Uprising happened in 2011, 2012, and it was a very organic thing that happened, and it was a very people-centered thing. And what happened was all of that energy and all of those ideas got funneled into the Democrats, and a recall or an attempt to recall then Governor Scott Walker. And when that did not happen, people were so demoralized, it just kind of, went the way of all things. So it was a very important lesson for me.
Yeah. And back to the two-party system, you know how it works. You give the money to the one that each year they'll give more money to one or less money to another. So I'm not sure if you remember the Wells Fargo hearings.
They're having one now, matter of fact.
Well, what happened was Elizabeth Warren yelled at the bankers. So you know what they did? They gave more money to the Republicans that year, and they said you have to shut her up. To the Democrats. So there were emails that got leaked where they were calling her a monster and they were calling her Darth Vader at Wall Street. But what happens is when someone speaks up to the issue, they say, all right, well, we'll pay the other party because you're not going to be able to keep this one quiet. You can't have dissenting voices. And they can't come from inside. They can't come from outside. They can't exist. because it messes with the establishment and what they want to happen. Now, not sure if you remember last election, both third-party candidates tried to get into the debates. Remember how that worked out?
We're trying now.
If I remember correctly, they told them, "Oh, you have to be at this percent. You have to be at this percent," and they kept raising it. That's what's happened.
Yes.
Now, you're trying now. What do the efforts look like to try to get into the debates?
It's an upward battle. I mean, it's a push. I am optimistic that in this year that is unprecedented in so many different ways, I think that anything is possible. And so I think with enough public pressure, it's entirely possible we can get on the debate stage.
And I want to ask you this question. I asked Howie the same question when he came on here. I asked him if he would sign a progressive economic pledge. Now, this pledge says, I pledge to fight for a $15 minimum wage tied to inflation and collective bargaining. I pledge to fight for a single-payer Medicare for all healthcare system. I pledge to fight for the Green New Deal, 10-year plan. I pledge to fight for free college for all, and I pledge to fight for a constitutional amendment to ban the private financing of elections and use all available paths to that amendment so we can once again have fair and free elections. Now,
all of those things are in our platform.
If I send this to your campaign, will you sign this pledge?
Yeah, all of those things are in our platform. I mean, everything that you just named off, that is in our campaign platform, all of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to sign that pledge. I'll have it sent to your campaign. Now, let's check the time. 4 people watching. If anyone in the chat wants to put a question, I'll ask Angela. Or if that's okay with you?
Yeah, I have about 5 minutes left.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to make any statements about what the current state of your campaign is, like what's going on right now?
Our big push right now is ballot access. We've got ballot access, I want to say, in 32 states, where our intention is to be on all 50. And we've got write-in status in 3, if I'm not mistaken. We are currently petitioning in 16, if I am not mistaken. I don't have all of the numbers in front of me. But that's pretty much, right now, our big push is making sure that we are on the ballot in all of the states, everywhere that we can be, because if we, our platform doesn't matter if people can't vote on it.
Definitely. Yeah. And you would have been, and back to the debates, there was actually a third-party candidate, I believe, who got into debates in history. That was back when it was not run by the two parties. That was back when it was run by the Women's League of Voters.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of that candidate right now. It's really, the idea is we oppress the third parties, we don't let them in the debates, and then look, you don't hear from them, so you don't know about them, because it's all about getting into that debate, I think. Once you're in that debate, people can hear what you have to say. People can hear what you think, and then people get a chance to say, oh, maybe I like that idea better than the Democrat and the Republican.
I think the biggest thing also is that people will know who you are. A lot of people, unless you're a leftist or, the Green Party has a fair amount of recognition. And just thinking of other parties that would want to be able at some point to participate, just so, people need to be able to know what their choices are, which is one reason that we support ranked choice voting. People need choices. It's 2020. The system of, this duopoly is outdated and it isn't working for people. And we're seeing that it isn't working for people. And so it's time to move to something else.
How much time do you have left?
I've got literally a couple minutes.
Okay, so you want to tell everybody where they can find out about your campaign?
Yes, we are at www.howiehawkins.us, and everything you need to know about the campaign is in there. The the campaign platform, and also there's pieces that you can like read that are related to what we would do as far as our administration handling the COVID pandemic. That's in there. And also, like, if you go to policies and it's not procedures, it's policies and something else. There's like extended, like there's whole policy papers in there based on, you know, these platforms that give a deeper dive into what each piece of those things are. So
Want to ask, you could answer one. I had one question I picked that was sent in by one of my viewers. Would you be able to answer that?
sure.
Okay. Do you think you'd be able to get a Green New Deal passed if elected?
It's ours. We that's like a centerpiece of it's ours. The Eco-Socialist Green New Deal, I think people are like, because they hear it come from the Democrats, I need people to be very clear. The Eco-Socialist Green New Deal is ours. It isn't theirs, it's ours. They took it from us, they gutted it, took the community control piece out of it, and then presented it to people like, hey, look at this new thing. This is not what we came up with. Of course we're gonna pass it. It belongs to us. And it's the centerpiece of our campaign because it is necessary right now.
Yeah, they released a diet Green New Deal.
That wasn't even a diet. That was more like skim. It was insulting.
Well, they haven't been able to get that passed anyway, so yeah. But
it was,
you know, definitely.
Yeah, it was a token gesture as far as we're concerned.
So thank you for joining us today. If you have any final statements to make, you can make it now.
I just want everybody to, you know, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. There is a whole pandemic happening. You know, the curve in this country is not flattening, it's going up. So just, you know, take care of yourselves and take care of other people as much as you can. We need that right now.
Okay, so thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you could stop streaming.